Hey, how's it going? So you want to know what a technical SEO audit is? Well, maybe you've received a technical SEO report, or you have been charged with creating a report from your company, or you're just curious about SEO in general. So an SEO technical audit is an in-depth analysis of your website, or it could be web page, but we're going to start with website to uncover any errors that would be hindering you from the search engines, from appearing on the search engines, appearing higher up, things that are holding you back. So let's look at a technical explanation. But the definition of a technical SEO audit, according to the Googles and Radin Interactive, it's a process that checks various technical parts of a website to make sure they're following best practices for search optimization. That means technical parts of your site that relate directly to ranking factors for search engines like Google or Bing, and certainly didn't mention Yahoo. So it's the site health check. You want to make sure that you don't have any links outbound that are 404 or like the page doesn't exist anymore. You want to make sure that the pages on your site exist if you've got them in your sitemaps, or you've got them linked within blogs or other pages, that those are not broken. I mean, that's just sloppy, and it's obviously frowned upon, and it's not good for the user experience. So search engines are really adamant about the user experience, and they want to make sure that that's optimal. But they also need to really understand what your website is about and what your pages are about. If you're doing a blog article about something, they want to know how good is this article and how relevant is it to our users that are typing in certain keywords. And you're going to help guide that by not only optimizing the page or the article, but the basics like your title tags, your meta descriptions, and making sure that your page titles are within certain limits and so on. And then there's obvious errors like, I mentioned the 404s, and there's things like slow page speed and all kinds of stuff. So I'll show you what a technical audit looks like that I've run on a customer. Now I use SE ranking. Of course, there's Hrefs and there's Moz and a bunch of others that people use. So you can see here that this customer has 609 errors, about 3,000 warnings, and about 1,800 notices, and so on. So website security, we can go down the list here. This is what it would look like in my software. What I would send a customer, which you may have, would be an actual report with a breakdown and a health score. So there's an overall health score, which is really good as a reference point, because obviously when you make changes and improvements, you want to see that go up, and it provides us with a benchmark. I've got top issues here. So I've got some 4XX status codes. I've got 18. So those are probably 400s, broken links. So let's just go down here and take a look. Now, this video is not going to be about how to interpret the information. That's going to be the next video. But I want you to get a sense of what a technical audit consists of from an SEO perspective. So we've looked at all the website security issues. Is it HTTPS? Is there any mixed content? Is there an SSL certificate? XML sitemaps being too large, because those can be taken apart and so on. So you've got all that information. Some of these suggestions are not necessarily an issue. These are just more of a nice to have. And your report should include a description and maybe a how to fix, although those can be omitted, which some companies, if they provide free audits, they may exclude that and have you go to them for fixes. It really depends on the situation. So we're also looking at the robots.txt to make sure that that's set up and indexed, duplicate content, and then status codes. And then here we can find actually which pages we've got those 4XX status codes. And then of course, these are no good because they'll be removed from search engines. And then it does separate external links that would be broken as well. So this is all very critical. I mean, you've got to have links working on your website to have any chance at the search engines really caring or paying attention for the most part. I mean, just by fixing these broken links, we'll probably see a rise up in actual rankings. So titles, URLs with duplicate page titles. It's going to go through duplicate tags, duplicate titles, And again, the whole point here is that you're confusing the search engines. If one page has the same title as the other, it'll start to look at the content, but you're not, you're confusing the search engines as to, you know, which page really is about this and which one should we be serving up. So it's definitely not great, especially if it comes up in the search engine. The first thing people see is the title of the page, and you don't want that going to a completely different page. And then based on user behavior, they'll get even more feedback to the relevancy of it. And we've got our title tag issues here. 51 pages missing H1, and the header 1 is, you know, the most important title tag because it's really outlining what the content below, or that's to come, is about. Broken links on the redirects. We've got info about external links and localization. If you've got, if you're switching between languages, using non-canonical and canonical links. And these errors are not always really an issue as long as they're done properly. Just kind of lets you know. Image optimization in alt text, you know, is part of the optimization of having an alt text on the image. So again, it can tell search engines what this content is about because it can't read images, obviously. So that's where the alt text comes in, and image descriptions and so on. Then it goes through your scripts, i.e. JavaScript, CSS, and lets you know what errors it has. And Google really cares about this stuff because if it's big, bloated, and heavy, and it's not optimized, it knows it's slowing down the website and the user experience. Mobile optimization here, and just performance all overall, then any AMP. So you would look to address those errors first and foremost before going on to the warnings and the notices. But as I always tell customers, that addressing these issues is completely free to do in most cases, unless you're charging or using a webmaster that's expensive or something like that. I mean, you should be able to go through this list fairly easily and implement it yourself. If not, you know, make sure you talk to your webmaster, or you can certainly reach out to someone like me. I've got a gig on Fiverr. I'll put the link below for that, and I'll be happy to either do an audit for you or interpret and even implement the changes that are needed. So that's basically an SEO technical audit. Now this is scratching the surface, obviously. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how to do your own. And then after that, we'll look at interpreting the data and go through some of the other stuff that you can do in SEO, kind of chapter by chapter. Now, I do want to talk quickly about an on-page SEO audit. On-page SEO audit itself can be when you're comparing your page to another page. So you could have a blog post and you see that when you type in Google the subject matter or the title, that another website comes up or a competitor comes up higher than you, and you want to figure out why their article is listed higher than your article. So you do an on-page SEO audit where you can really dive into what's the differences and how to improve that. What you would do is essentially look at the page specifically and not the whole website. If you're using something like WordPress to do your blogging, there's plenty of plugins that you can use. And for this particular article, they're giving me a 43 out of 100, and it's going to give you some actual reasons why, similar to what we just saw, and what we can do to improve either something to do with the titles, the tags, or the content itself. And the content is really important for those rankings, and they're going to explain why. Uncommon words, emotional words, power words. So there's a little more depth to this here, character count, and so on. So you're going to want to have something similar to that. If you're not doing your own on-page auditing, you can certainly use this to improve your rankings. All right, well, I hope that all made sense, and I hope you learned a little bit about what a technical SEO audit is. So thanks for joining me on this SEO series. In the next video, we will discuss how to conduct a technical SEO website audit using some free tools, page speed from Google, as well as Search Console. Yeah, we'll go from there. See you next time.